Do I start when ready? All right. The homes of Cuba are in shambles. Cubans want to fix their homes and they want to build new homes, but they lack the basic building materials. The USA should overturn the embargo and sell the construction tools and supplies to Cuba. Contention 1 harms. Subpoint A, Cuba needs houses, or C 2011. The Cuban government has acknowledged that a lack of housing is one of the country's biggest challenges. The shortage has reached some 500,000 homes as of the middle of the past decade, according to official estimates. The National Statistics Office said this month that 33,000 homes were built in 2010 compared to the 35,000 in the previous year, both of which fell short of the 110,000 constructed in 2006 when the then President Fidel Castro launched a campaign to address the problem. Subpoint B, Cuba lacks the materials to build. Ritter, 2013. Demand for construction services is high as Cuba is facing the deep and growing challenge of the neglected and crumbling housing stock, but so are the obstacles. In 2012, construction and supply sales through government-owned outlets, the only ones that offer the much-needed goods, were more than 20% below planned targets, Merlo said. Subpoint C, embargo is hurting the U.S. economy. Hansen, Batten, L.E., 2013. Yet estimates of sanctions annual costs to the U.S. economy range from $1.2 to $3.6 billion, according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Restrictions on trade disproportionately affect U.S. small businesses, and a perpetual embargo on a developing nation that is moving towards reform makes little sense, especially when America's allies are openly hostile to the embargo. It keeps a broader discussion about smart reform in Cuba from getting life, and it makes no economic sense. It is time for the embargo to go. So contention 2, inherency. Subpoint A. Cuba asked to buy construction materials from the U.S., and the U.S. says no. Snow, 2008. Cuba has turned down U.S. storm relief handouts, but is asking for trade restrictions to be lifted so it can buy American materials. Cuba hasn't asked the United States government to give it anything. The Foreign Ministry said in the Communist Party newspaper, Gamma, simply that it lets us buy. Cuba says that it wants some U.S. trade restrictions lifted so it can buy American roofing and other construction materials to repair homes and the island's electronic grid. Hurricanes like Ike and Gustav damaged 320,000 Cuban homes, civil defense officials reported Thursday. The government estimates the average cost of constructing a new house in Cuba to be $8,000. Still, Washington is not considering suspending any other part of its embargo. Subpoint B, Raul Castro has given the green light to private home construction. A year ago, Castro said, Metro Press, 2010. A year ago, Raul Castro said that Cuba's industrial base must be developed so that hundreds of thousands of homes could be built, and decided not to prohibit people from building or adding homes by their individual effort. Lack of housing is one of the most serious problems in Cuba, with a current deficit of 600,000 houses in a country of 11.2 million residents. The situation has deteriorated in part due to the damage caused by 3 hurricanes that slammed the island in 2008. Therefore, we as the Affirmative Plan present the following plan. The United States will lift part of the Cuban embargo, allowing American businesses to sell construction materials to Cuba. Construction materials would include lumber, concrete, plumbing, electrical supplies, and other supplies. Basically, if you can get it at Home Depot, then our plan would allow that to be sold to Cuba. We'll just explain Plank 1. Enforcement will be through the Department of Commerce and the State Department. No funding will be, Plank 2, no funding will be necessary, and Plank 3, we reserve the right to fight and to define all terms. Condition 3, solvency. Subpoint A, Cubans repair and build homes when they have the materials. Southern Innovator Magazine, 2013. Apart from national disasters, Cuba's housing stock has suffered under the U.S. embargo. The country's housing began to decay as repairs were not happening and new houses were not being built. When people did want to make the repairs themselves, the lack of building supplies made it difficult for them to do so. Subpoint B, lifting the embargo would boost the U.S. economy. Storinsky, 2014. Additionally, the embargo hurts U.S. businesses willing to sell their products to Cuba. It doesn't make any sense during an economic slowdown to limit the customers that a business can sell because of outdated politics. Duke professor Phyllis Pomerez recently wrote in the Globe and Mail, "It is time to forget about old grudges and remember that the best way to convert an enemy into a friend is to embrace him. Our plan has the following advantages. Advantage 1, improving basic human rights for millions. Subpoint A, currently Cubans live in homes that are literally falling apart around them." Havana Times, 2012. At least 4 people died and 6 were injured in a partial collapse of a building in central Havana, Cuban state media reported Wednesday. According to Rando Relage, the collapse happened late Tuesday. The house in Centro Habana neighborhood was home to several families. Centro Habana is regarded as one of the worst maintained neighborhoods in the Cuban capital. Cuba has serious housing problems due to the poor state of many buildings that have not been renovated for decades. Subpoint B, all humans have a basic right to safe and secure housing. Human Rights Education Associates, 2013. The human right to adequate housing is the right of every woman, man, youth, and child to acquire and sustain a secure home and community in which to live in peace and dignity. The right of housing is codified as a human right in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Everyone has the right to a standard living adequate for health and well-being of himself and his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care, and necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of unemployment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age, or other lack of livelihood in circumstances beyond his control. Subpoint C, materials would allow Cubans to build new homes. Cross-apply our subpoint A, solvency card here. Advantage to helping the U.S. economy. Subpoint A, the U.S. businesses currently miss out on millions of dollars of sales. Pepper, 2013. These percentage might have been higher if the U.S. public was aware that the blockade is currently costing them actually more than the Cubans, something that is finally beginning to dawn on the U.S. business community. Representatives of a dozen leading U.S. businesses organizations, including the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, signed a letter in December urging Barack Obama to scrap the embargo. The letter pegs on to cost the U.S. economy at $1.2 billion per year. The CPF's estimates are much higher, up to $4.84 billion annually in lost sales and exports. The Cuban government estimates the loss to Cuba at about $685 million annually. Thus, the blockade cost the United States up to $4.155 billion more a year than it cost Cuba. Subpoint B, lifting the embargo against the sale of construction materials would create thousands of jobs in the U.S. Such as 2013. For government and business leaders to chart their way forward, they must measure the importance of exports and the national economy by using generally accepted tools and analysis by the Department of Commerce, Economics, and Statistics and Administration, the ESA, and the International Trade Administration, ITA. This integrity white paper finds that the value of exports to support one job will increase as much as $185,000 in 2010. This figure was last official estimate in 1996 at $92,000 per job and reflects the high and increasing productivity of the U.S. workforce and the exported related production. The average new home in Cuba cost $8,000 US. If U.S. sold Cuba just 1/8 of the materials needed, over 2,500 new jobs would be created in the United States. In conclusion, by passing the affirmative plan, Judge, you will be improving the human rights of millions. Can I finish my conclusion, or do I just...
Yeah.
Okay. And you will be creating thousands of jobs in the U.S. You get all this, Judge, and not at a cost of the human taxpayer a dime. I'm now open for cross-examination, points of clarification.
Judge, are you ready? Is the opponent ready? Partner ready? Okay. Can I use your timer?
Yes, we need to set 3 minutes. Okay, ready?
I'm ready. Okay, why are the Cuban households bad?
What? I couldn't hear you.
Why are the Cuban households bad?
Because of the time that they haven't been renovated in a long time, because the Cuban government has not been letting them get new supplies. Since of this, they couldn't really renovate their new homes, and so they've been falling apart, along with many new storms actually hitting the island in 2008.
Okay, thank you. What is currently being done now to fix these houses?
Currently, the Cuban government really wants to build these new homes, but since they do not have the building materials needed to do this, they can't necessarily do this.
Okay, but that didn't answer my question.
Currently, U.S. or Cuba is not, can't do anything to do this problem.
Okay, does Cuba still want to buy supplies from the United States?
We have evidence that states that they currently do. My partner will bring this up later in his...
He'll say it in his 2AC?
Yes.
Okay. How will Cuba pay for the building materials?
Cuba will pay the building materials because their economy is slowly getting better, slowly but surely, due to Raul Castro is now now letting people, he is now letting people more freedoms to do these things, and like he's giving them new jobs to help this, so they're slowly getting their economy better.
Okay, do you know how much money the Cuban government has at this very moment?
At this very moment,
Yeah,
currently,
you know how much they currently?
No.
Okay. Where will the Cuban people get the money to buy the supplies from their government?
Like I said, they're getting new jobs, not operated by the government, so the economy is getting so much better that slowly that they will have enough money. And we also have a card in our advantages that says, not our advantages, but we have it in our claim that say once they have the money, they will.
What is the time frame of your?
It's immediately.
Immediately?
Yes.
Okay, so if their economy is slowly improving, how are they going to be able to pay? How is your plan going to be able to be enforced immediately?
If it's okay, they're we also on our card and our plan it says that that when they have the money to buy new construction materials, they will. So even though it's going slowly but surely, they still have the money currently to buy these new materials in order to repair their homes.
So if they have the money, why aren't they doing it now?
Because we're not selling it to them yet.
Okay.
Okay.
There was like 5 seconds left.
7.
Let her say it.
I don't know how to work those
Oh, you
machines.
just 1 minute. Start when you're ready.
Okay, judge ready?
Yep.
Opposing team ready?
Not yes.
Okay.
I'm close.
Really low.
I know.
Okay.
It's okay though. You ready now?
Yes.
Partner ready? Okay. First judge, a roadmap. I'll be running an immigration reform DA, and with any remaining time, I will be making a few logical attacks on their harms, inherency, and solvency. So first to the immigration reform DA. The thesis of this disadvantage is that economic engagement with Cuba will be controversial in Congress, undermining President Obama's ability to get his immigration reform legislation passed. By injecting a controversial policy into the political sphere, President Obama will be distracted from his efforts to use his political capital to push aggressively for immigration reform legislation that is necessary for high-skilled immigrations which can protect the country from the growing threat of cyber attacks. These cyber attacks cost the USA billions of dollars every year. Subpoint A, uniqueness. Immigration reform will pass now, and Obama's support is critical to its success. Sherman 13. I think the conditions are right for the immigration bill to make it through. The president's been very helpful. He's been there when we've asked him to be. He's laid low when we ask him, and I've got no complaints about the president, and I think he can be very helpful getting it over the finish line, said Senator Lindsey Graham, one of Obama's chief Benghazi critics. Subpoint B, link. Rolling back sanctions on Cuba would be politically controversial. Cave 12. For a handful of Cuban Americans in Congress, the embargo is sacred. When asking about Cuban entrepreneurs who are seeking more support from the United States, Representative Ayanna Rosa Lintinen, the Florida Republican who is chairwoman of the House Foreign Relations Committee, proposed an even tighter embargo. The sanctions on the regime must remain in place and, in fact, should be strengthened and not altered, she wrote in an email. Responsible nations must not buy into the facade the dictatorship is trying to create by announcing reforms, while in reality it's tightening its grip on the people. Subpoint C, internal link. Obama's political power with Congress is key to immigration reform. Parnes 13. The White House plans to use an inside-outside game to pressure Congress as it seeks a political victory for President Obama on immigration reform. The inside game includes meetings with key stakeholder groups, such as one this week with Asian American and Pacific Islander leaders. In recent days, the meetings have gained steam, with Obama holding at least one meeting per week, according to White House guidance of the president's schedule. It also includes Obama's second-term charm offensive with members of Congress, in which Obama, who needs an immigration win to help solidify his second-term legacy, has used dinner dates and golf outings to engage with his political opponents. We want to make sure we don't lose any Democrats and work with Republicans to move this forward, one senior administrator official said. Subpoint D, Brink. Immigration reform key to bolstering cybersecurity defenses. McCartney, 9. We have seen, when you look at the table of the top 20 firms that are H-1B visa requesters, at least 15 of those are IT firms. And as we're seeing across industry, much of the hardware and software that's used in this country is not only